You got a 45-pound weight?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. 'Cause
Why-
it's not, you
why
got
that?
kettlebells. I'm laying my eyes on your beautiful kettlebells as we speak.
You know what my kettlebells are being used for right now?
Keeping the fridge closed. I saw that.
One is keeping a cabinet closed from a cat. One is keeping a table
fridge,
weighed
okay.
down so that it doesn't fall over when it's
Okay.
extended. And the other one just sits. I don't.
You don't kettle.
I don't.
You don't bell the kettles.
I keep telling myself I will, but no.
I do
What
a
did you
simple thing. I just hold. It's a dumbbell. It's not a kettlebell. I probably should have gotten a kettlebell, but it's a dumbbell. And
was that my cue to be like, hey, have you been working out? Adam.
you don't notice?
Adam, have you been working?
Have you been notice?
Have you been working out?
I've been weightlifting and doing these kind of calisthenic things. And last night I barely slept. I slept 5 hours.
Because you were weightlifting all night.
I was just weightlifting.
Just up in the
crushing
in the mirror like
Yeah.
American Psycho,
Shred.
just being like,
yeah.
listen to Huey Lewis plotting out some crazy murder plan.
You just described last night for me. That's what it was.
Oh, great. And now you're
I
here.
had a
So,
raincoat on, too.
welcome to the last episode of Solutions from the Multiverse, everybody. Apparently,
Hey.
I'll be getting
Murdered.
serial killed at the
Yes.
end of this.
Yeah. Okay, my name's Adam Brous.
My name is Scott Maupin.
This is Solutions from the Multiverse.
It is indeed.
Verse. Every week we come to you with a unheard of and new solution to the society's
We
problems.
toss it up in the air. We kick it around. We knock on the tires.
You've never heard of it before, unless you have, in which case, bully for you. But you probably haven't. Okay, today's solution is we're going back to one of my favorite things that we haven't touched on in a long time, healthcare.
Okay.
Our first solution was nurse hotline.
Right.
Healthcare.
We've done healthcare ones.
Couple
We're both
times.
on the same page as
Yep.
thinking that our current healthcare system has a lot of room to
Totally broken.
get better.
For people who don't know, I used to work for the leading electronic medical records company in the country. My mom built one of the greatest healthcare systems in the world. She was one of the builders of it in its early days.
Cool.
My parents are both doctors. Two of my brothers are doctors. Anyways, I know when I worked at Epic, I ran hospital billing offices at 6 of the largest health systems in the country with thousands, tens of thousands of employees.
Nice.
There were hundreds of clinics and many hospitals in one of the systems, and there was
Right.
6 of them that I worked for.
Yeah.
And I got to go straight in. I could look at all the billing. I ran reports all the time. What were the billing? How was it working? So I can say I can actually with this I can speak with authority.
Okay.
I actually can speak with authority on this.
You have-
unlike other things in this podcast.
you have specific expertise.
I do. And I know a little bit about politics too, so we can talk about politics. Okay, solution today.
What is it?
This is what I call the American Medical Business Private Tax Break and Medical Economic Stimulus Bill. Which
Say that again.
the American
Would you run that by me one more time.
The AMBPTBME.
Oh, the
SB.
AMBTBSB.
Yeah, the American Medical Business Private Tax Break and Medical Economic Stimulus Bill. Also
Okay.
called
It's a mouthful.
Also called
It's a mouthful.
Medicare for All.
Okay.
Yeah. So today's solution.
I see why
is,
they go with that.
Yeah. Well, my solution today is we need to message Medicare for All completely differently than we're messaging it. Once again, the left is wrong. They're just bad at marketing, bad at branding,
Right.
bad at politics. They're just bad at everything. And that's why the left doesn't take over in the United States, because the left has wildly more popular. It's a democracy. If you say we're going to give you a bunch of free stuff, that should be the winning policy.
Right.
But it's not, which
Yeah.
means they're doing it wrong, right? That's my sort of conclusion. But
Yeah.
from that first principle, anyways, so we're going to rebrand Medicare for All, and we're going to rebrand it as 2 things: a private tax break and a medical economic stimulus.
A private tax break and a medical economic stimulus.
Yeah,
Okay, we're all primed for the idea of a stimulus because we just
Right.
went through one
right.
and we liked it sort of, except it was
Stimmies, yeah.
botched and weird. But
Yeah.
But-
So this one isn't even for regular people. This is for corporations. Corporations
Oh.
are going to make a huge amount of money with Medicare for All. This is what no one realizes. And the left doesn't
I was like, people love it when we give corporations economic stimulus.
Don't you feel like when you're going to say let's do Medicare for all, who's against it? Oh, the corporations are
the people who
money bags.
Yeah, the people who make money on the
big mistake. Medicare for all will be one of the largest corporate bailouts, like handovers of wealth in history. And this is what people don't say for some reason. So let me explain how it works. So
the other group of people that are against Medicare for all are the people who think that like it would mean that they suddenly have some sort of weird third world medical treatment options. And it's just, I don't know. I was going to say, as I lived in Japan for 6 years, had nationalized healthcare. It was wonderful. Excellent, it worked so well.
And was it actually nationalized or was it just the payer was the government? Like were the hospitals government employees?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, I think it was the payer. The payer was the government. I don't feel like they were.
Yeah.
I don't feel like every doctor was like the government employee. But
only Britain does that, and actually people complain about it because it's actually not very good.
Right.
And so I would never advocate for
I said right like I know.
But I would never advocate ever for like government employee I mean, you could have some government hospitals. Okay.
And look, Japan,
but it shouldn't be government hospitals. It should be private hospitals with government payer,
right?
With an insurance cover.
And Japan was far from perfect. It wasn't perfect, but it was like it was so nice and this
amazing.
And the idea that you're going to drop in quality of it's suddenly no one's going to do it's ridiculous. It just doesn't happen.
Actually, you'll probably go up in quality.
But there are people that definitely believe that, and they go, "No, we can't have Medicare for all because then I'll have to wait 9 months to see someone about an earache."
Right.
And you're like, "That's not." They'll be like, if I break my arm, I have to let it like heal at a weird angle, and then they'll have to re-break it a year later when they finally see me at the emergency room.
And I lived in Germany, exactly the same experience. Like I sprained the hell out of my ankle, like really bad. I thought I like destroyed my ankle, and I went immediately to the hospital. They x-rayed it. They said, you have a bad sprain. Go. They gave me everything. It left. It was no wait, nothing, just immediate.
I broke my first bone in Japan. I broke a bone in my foot. I had to have a cast and and see doctors and get x-rays and have learn a whole bunch of new Japanese vocabulary, like internal bleeding. I found my notebook recently with my notes from that time and all my new vocab that I'd written down. I was like, like internal bleeding. I'm like, geez, all these very specific terms. But yeah, and then I had physical therapy afterward, and the bill to me, I think, was like under $50 total, and it was just like a
whole thing.
Processing thing. Yeah, it was crazy. I was just like,
the nearest thing to Medicare for all is accountable care organizations like Kaiser Permanente, which is a huge health system that uses Epic. Actually, it's one of Epic's largest.
Is Kaiser good?
I mean, yeah, I have Kaiser. The only complaint people have for Kaiser is that there's not very good mental health. Like you only can meet a therapist once a month, which people with mental health issues say that's probably not enough. Which is,
plus,
okay. That's
when they bought that old Arkham Asylum up on the hill and started taking over it,
they put a lot of criminals in there.
I mean,
super criminals.
It seems like maybe not the place to group them all together. But I'm not. I'm not a medical professional.
Let's spread them out.
I think maybe one hallway with all the most dangerous people that we've ever known,
dangerous
in a way that they can all talk to each other and very
talk
easily
to each other. Oh my God, is that what happens up there?
I feel like they could just be like. The Joker's like, "Hey, Penguin, what's up?" And the Penguin's like, "Leave me alone." But they could plot things, right? These criminal masterminds.
I agree.
Maybe we separate them.
I think maybe even just like a community program. Maybe just keep them in their homes, but have community workers show up every day.
That's what I'm going to push you for.
How's it going?
I'm going to push you for.
How are you doing today? Did you do okay today?
That's what I'm going to push you for one of these days as a solution for what would you do for if Gotham criminals were real criminals in our society.
We could do fantasy solutions.
How would you deal with them
how do you solve
in a compassionate and or reasonable way?
Or what if you were actually...
You can't just be like, I don't know, shoot them all. That's
God. Yeah. Wait, okay, Medicare for all.
Yeah.
We're not branding it properly.
Why not?
Because we're pitching it as... I think I'm compelled by this argument, which is that it's we have a moral imperative to provide healthcare for everyone. And that there's a kind of practical rationality to it. Our health system currently is really expensive, and actually a Medicare for all system would be significantly more affordable and just as good, if not tremendously better.
Oh yeah.
So there's a morality with a practicality. That's the current pitch. That's the Bernie pitch for Medicare for all.
All right.
Morality, practicality. Okay. That never gets anything done in America. When you want something done, you don't say morality, practicality. Those are the opposite of what American laws are.
It doesn't get anyone's juices flowing.
Exactly. If you want American laws, you got to say billionaires are going to make a shite ton of money.
Yeah.
One, and it'll like create like American power dominance, like, you know, economically or militarily. That's like the two things you have to prove to the federal government if you want an actual law passed.
Wait, what's the first one?
Like billionaires are going to make a ton of money. Like rich people are going to get a lot richer. You have to show that first.
Okay.
And then you have to show that we'll be like militarily or economically dominant geopolitically over the world.
Okay.
Those are the two things that pass laws. Like any law you look at in the last 100 years was basically just like
those
rich people get super rich and will dominate the world, whether it's a market or military or whatever. So you have to show that Medicare for all will do those things.
That should turn around now that we have all these young people running for. Wait, who's running for president right now?
Oh yeah, the two youngest people, a 35-year-old and a 37-year-old,
fresh new ideas out there.
Even a 55-year-old would be 30 years younger than both of them. It's like a 50-year-old.
He would be a 50-year-old.
50-year-old would be like,
the young whippersnapper.
50 years old.
Hey, Pops, what's up? Why don't you pack away?
Oh, my God. I don't mind that they're old. I mind more about their policy. Really? I think there's old people with great... My grandma's pretty smart. Well, she was pretty progressive. She was like 90.
Here's what I don't like. I don't like the people in power clinging on until the very bitter end.
Yeah, that's not good.
Not fostering a normal transition to the younger and younger people, generation to generation.
That's true.
Yeah, I get it. You have power and you can keep it if you want it, but you know what? When you got power,
you're right.
The person who gave it to you wasn't 89. It was like a normal thing.
You make a fantastic point, Scott. Like a fantastic point. The conversation about this is always about faculties and maybe policy. Are there faculty sharp enough to do the job is the big question. The smaller question, which is also brought up, but it's still there, is, are their policies kind of out of date or old because they're old? Okay. But you're bringing up a far more fundamental point, which is the concept of the transition of power means that people with an inordinate amount of power voluntarily give it over to those with less power in order to keep like the democracy
They're hogging
flowing.
The ball.
Yeah,
you shouldn't want to be president when you're
point.
81 years old. You shouldn't want to be.
Yeah, it's true.
There should be enough confidence in people who are 50 years old that you've helped build up that you're like, cool, guys, your turn. Let me do some other stuff. You don't have to be in charge of everything. Yeah. It's okay.
That's a very good point. I love that. I like that a lot. I like that as a third leg of the stool of the criticism of
Anyway, sorry, that's just my personal.
No, it's great. But let's talk about how Medicare for All could be rebranded to be like a corporate stimulus bill, so that the evil people would think it was good.
To get through the.
So we have to convince the evil people. Yeah. So here, evil people, listen up. So Medicare for All would be paid for people who don't know the bill that Bernie proposed, which I think is a good bill. Proposed that Medicare for All would be paid for by a 4% income tax. Flat. So everyone would pay 4% more on their income tax.
Okay.
So people don't like taxes, whatever. But it would actually be less than you're paying in medical expenses. So you'd actually save money.
I believe that.
And this should be pitched as what I call a private tax break. So you're currently paying government taxes and you're paying private taxes. And private taxes are all the services that could be more efficiently and cheaply provided to you by the government, but are provided to you by corporate America.
Right.
That's private taxes.
Okay.
So like medical insurance for sure is a private tax.
Mm-hmm.
So is, a bunch of other things like when utilities screw you over, and they could be public utilities. In some ways, housing, you pay a private tax because we don't have enough public housing to keep the prices in check and stuff. So anyways, but with healthcare, I would say that's a private tax. So you're paying a private tax of your health insurance premiums, your copays, your deductibles. If we replace that with a public tax, you'll actually get a tax break. So it's a private tax break. So that would get the kind of people who are anti-tax.
Yeah.
It would at least be an argument to them that you can kind of throw in their spokes when they say, it's going to raise taxes. Up. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's going to lower taxes if you include private taxes.
The real way to do that would be like, go back, look at your last year. How much did you spend on healthcare?
Was it more than 4% of your income?
Imagine that as a zero. And now are you happy or no?
Yeah, yeah.
And most people would look back and go, oh yeah, I'd be happy.
Right, exactly.
That would be better.
But even this narrative, no one says that. I mean, this could have been a solution on its own. Private tax. That could be a word in our lexicon politically that the left could use to explain this concept. Because Americans just don't want to get screwed. That's what they don't like. They don't like to get screwed.
Labeling it as like the private tax of medical insurance.
Exactly. We're going to do a tax break, a private tax break. You're being taxed by the insurance companies. Americans wouldn't know the subtle differences between a public tax and a private tax. They would just say, yeah, you just mean I'm getting railed. Like I'm getting screwed by some institution that's a big faceless institution. So you say, yeah, you are getting railed by a faceless institution. It's called private health insurance, private, for-profit health insurance.
And people have the criticism is that when they had the power to do something, what they did was they made a law where instead of like getting rid of insurance companies, they're like, now everyone has to buy insurance.
Yeah,
everyone's like, no, that's the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's supposed to make
trying
things
to
better.
I understand, but it's moving us toward the wrong goalpost. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, Obamacare was Romney care. Let's just be straight. Like Obama was a black Republican. Just gonna throw that out there. Like his policies were just Republican policies that he wrapped in liberal silk and like sailed down the river to us. It's the same thing with Biden. Biden's just doing all Trump's policies. Trump came in and said, I'm going to deport people and build a wall in Mexico. Biden has deported way more people than Trump and is building a wall, enhanced border security in Mexico. But Trump came in and said, we should do an industrial policy and rebuild the industrial base of the United States. He then left. Biden came in and did the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a trade war with China, and an industrial policy, a giant industrial policy for the United States. I mean, it's just exactly the Trump platform. Cool. He's just making it happen now. So
it's almost like the government is on its own course that can't be deterred by the measly will of the voters.
But new ideas. I think new ideas can change it. So if we get this idea of a private tax and we say Medicare for all is actually a tax break for you. It's a private tax break. Okay, so that gets the tax people. Okay, so now we have the corporations who are like, ooh, I'm a corporation. Now, you have to explain to the corporations. Corporations pay 67% of the healthcare premiums in the United States.
I was just going to say, like, imagine to the corporation.
Yes.
Look back in the year. How much did you spend on your healthcare for your employees?
I can tell you the amount. Corporations
make that a zero.
Each year spend $858 billion on this.
Only 858 bill? Only 858 buy?
That's like
only 858 B?
Almost double our entire military spending. Each year, every year, corporations pay this to private for-profit health insurance companies. So the moment that Medicare for all is passed, all those corporations can just keep all that money. They can just move their employees onto the government health care.
Right.
Stop paying those premiums, and then the employee gets taxed 4%. Corporation. Nothing. So the corporations would get for free for doing nothing.
Right.
$858 billion. Well, that's bigger than FDR's New Deal.
Right.
Just handed to them. And then it would the next year they get it again. Like they would be a
don't have to spend it.
Yeah, they would never have to spend that again.
Well,
it's like, what the hell? Why did no one ever say that? Like, why didn't Bernie ever go and like talk to like corporate American Chamber of Commerce lobbyists and be like, this is a huge corporate handout. This is one of the biggest corporate handouts in history.
Because if someone's going to do that, and I'm on the side of the people getting $858 billion a year, I'm going to pay some pretty good lobbyists myself to follow Bernie's
to make it better than that, to make it bet more.
No, to follow the other guy's lobbyists around and be like, yo, what he was saying. Here's some money. Here's a little briefcase full of cash. Just
you would
keep the money flowing.
But you would support it. But they didn't support it. They did everything they could to stop it. Right?
Who did everything?
Corporate America didn't align itself with Bernie Sanders. Am I crazy? Of course they didn't. Right? It was perceived as enemies. And they were, and they took actions against one another. But Bernie could have just gone and said, guys, this is one of the biggest corporate money grabs ever.
Imagine.
And I want to do it for you. I'm here to do it for you. I'm literally going to move your expenses onto your employees.
Yeah.
That's what corporate America loves to do. Why are they in the business of providing health insurance for their employees? It's crazy.
I'm going to directly increase every company's revenue immediately by decreasing the amount of cost you have to spend on your employee overhead.
Yeah. Sometimes people pay 10, 20% of somebody's salary is just the health insurance premiums they're paying.
Yeah.
Also, there's a whole paperwork burden. All the small businesses would not have to, like, you say you have 30 employees and you're like, let's provide health insurance for everybody.
I'm with you.
Jesus Christ.
Look, I'm with you.
But I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, is that nobody ever frames it that way. That's why this is the new solution.
Okay.
Frame Medicare for All is not just good for people, which it is, good for healthcare, which it is. Good.
Start hammering that
it's good for freaking corporate America. Right. They're going to get almost $1 trillion.
Get the Wall Street feeling, those guys being like,
the stock market will go way up if there was Medicare for All.
Money,
you say, hey, stockbrokers, every year from now on, corporate America will get $1 trillion more profit, because that's what it'd be. It'd just be profit.
Right.
It would just be theirs.
Yeah. That would probably affect some stock price.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't even know what the total amount of American profit is. This might be near, like, I don't know, some fraction of like the total amount of profit made every year.
I have no clue.
And it would just be handed over. Now you could say, well, the American, insurance companies would die off or whatever. Like, okay,
yes,
but like, what welfare are they providing to the world? Like nothing. They're not providing any welfare. They're just middlemen, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to be the
that
effect
happens
of that?
sometimes,
Nothing.
like
that's true.
The Zeppelin industry had to go.
Went down in flames.
Yeah, they had to find new things. Blacksmiths had to figure it out. It just happens.
That's
sometimes.
Right. Sorry, private health.
Sometimes
companies.
I'm sorry. And
there
it looks like right now
AI
is about to go. Sorry, artists and writers, you're all donezo.
Yeah, maybe so.
We're getting mediocre content churned out at a rapid pace. Try to keep up with that.
Is that what people are saying? Like kind of a negative on AI?
Well, that's the fear in art is that it's going to severely undercut all the ability to make it into a career or a job or a living thing.
I see that. Yeah, potentially.
And that it will also just undercutting that will discourage people from going into it in the first place, and then we're going to have just a giant downturn of like culture and art and interesting, good, entertaining things for people to make people think. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, that's rough. Okay,
but at least we have AI.
So then there are. So I don't want to be fatuous about this, though. I do want to talk about
fatuous.
Stupid.
What'd you call me? No, I did understand.
Yeah, I don't want to be like fatuous about it. Like, okay, so corporate America would say, yeah, sure, we would get that the first year, but the next year there would be, it would eliminate what's called job lock, right? People don't want to quit their jobs because they'd lose their health insurance. This is like a large fraction of the American public who's working.
Right.
So they would say, we don't want Medicare for All because even if we got $1 trillion for free, the next year, 10% of our employees would just quit because they have health insurance now and they don't need our stupid crap jobs. And then we would have to raise the cost of labor.
How is that logical, though?
In order to attract people to actually do those jobs.
Because if you continue that line of thinking, then 10% of every company would quit, and you would have all those people to fill in the 10% that,
you'd have to raise wages.
The idea
they won't come back without a higher wage.
No, but I'm saying you don't need those people back. It's like the idea of job lock is like I'm keeping these people, but if there's a lot more people floating around like free electrons, you can just.
But you have to pay them more to attract them.
Well, you just saved $800 billion in healthcare.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So they would say, okay, yeah, for the first year maybe we get that $800 billion, but the next year we'd have to raise wages.
Oh,
and the raise in wages over the next few years would probably be roughly, efficient.
If that would be a horrible thing
to market hypothesis.
Take care of your employees.
It would raise
better.
the wages by that same amount over the next few years.
What a terrible
So it wouldn't
thing.
be forever. What I would say is that you could probably expect the first year for it to be, you'd get the whole amount or, most of it.
Okay.
And then the second year, you'd probably get like a third less. And then next year, you get like a third less and a third less. So it would taper off over the next like 4 or 5 years as American labor got more. I mean, it does empower labor. when you can go on strike, your business that you're striking against can't stop your healthcare benefits and end the strike by ending your healthcare benefits. That's legal. As crazy as that sounds, that's actually legal. So that would go away. People wouldn't have job locks, so there'd be a lot of people like leaving their jobs because they have healthcare now.
Do you think that's why corporations weren't for the thing initially? Like, is because it gives them that leverage. It makes them lose that leverage over labor.
Yep.
Wow.
It's almost like the company town.
So gross.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's like the company town. Oh, we'll pay you in company script and you can go down to the general store. And it's like, have you heard of that?
No.
Back in the day, they would have these company towns where they would pay you in US dollars, but they would also just like pay you part of your salary in the company's money that could be redeemed in the general store of the city of the town.
Here's your Sears bucks. You can only use it at the Sears store.
Like imagine if Amazon paid people and then they gave them like
gift
part
cards.
of their pay in
Just
Amazon gift cards. Yeah. So the idea, what Bernie did was, hey, it's a moral thing. Hey, it's a practical thing. But what it should have been was, we're going to blast the American economy like through the roof. The American economy is going to be unleashed by Medicare for all. They shouldn't even call it Medicare for all. They should call it, like I said, like a medical historic medical stimulus, economic stimulus package. Because that's really what it would be. Because all that job lock, all those people leaving those jobs would shoot up real wages.
Right.
So now real wages would be climbing for everybody, right? You would also support unionization, which means also wages shooting up way more from that. And all those people in job lock, they hate their jobs. They're barely productive.
Right.
That's what all the research shows. If you hate your job, you're like 10% productivity compared to someone who loves their job. It's like
you're not begrudgingly doing awesome at your work.
Which means those people leave. Other people, you raise the salary, you fix the workplace, you fix it, or you replace it with AI, whatever. Yeah. And now all that value gets created. That's real value in the economy. So you actually you remove the value loss or just waste of like job lock, and you lose the value loss waste of for-profit health insurance companies, like the middlemen of those, and you get whatever actually is value additive work in the economy. We find out what that is, because right now we just don't know what that is because we don't allow people to actually discover it. So yeah, it would be massive. And small businesses. If you want to start a small business, right now, you get up to 8, 10, 12 employees. There's this huge paperwork burden and tax and weird stuff. Provide health insurance for your workers. That would just be gone. It'd be so easy to go from 10 employees to 100 employees if you didn't have to do health insurance for all your freaking employees. So it would just be this huge, like a giant millstone around the American economy's neck. It would just be like snipping it and just off. So and it would just...
Maybe
crazy.
Maybe Bernie Sanders rebrands himself as Bling Bling Bernie.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, yeah.
And he starts talking about, he's like, there'll be a Lambo in every driveway.
I do love Bernie, but I do think he's a genius politically.
But he's also pretty old too, right? Like,
yeah, that's I think the best evidence that it doesn't matter how old people are.
What I'm saying, where's the young Bernie? Who is that?
Well, Marianne Williamson currently is sort of trying to take on the mantle of a progressive, true progressive mantle. So she's sort of the young Bernie. She's like 60, 70 or something. She's older too.
That's what I'm saying. But, like it's so the age shift is so wild.
Most progressive leaders in the past came from unions, and Bernie kind of, well, not Bernie really, but Robert Reich and Bernie to some extent. Well, Bernie kind of just came up through the politics of like he was the mayor of the capital of Vermont, and then became the congressperson, then the senator, and almost the president, right? So he kind of came up the way you're supposed to. But anyways, I think this would be a way better way to pitch Medicare for all, because it speaks to like the American psyche. Yeah. Not the American psyche in like 25 years from now, after we've like destroyed the entire climate and the economy, and there's just like billionaires of all like...
Not the Mad Max future American society.
Those people might actually like Bernie. They might be like, yeah, we should just have Medicare for all, because we're so desperate at that point that we're just like, do something to like save us. But right now we're still in this, like people still have this consciousness of like, America's going to be great. It's going to grow. It's going to be, we're going to stimulate the economy. We're not at like rock bottom where we need to like salvage the economy, which is, I feel like Bernie, it's almost like a salvage. We're going to salvage this broken system. Americans don't like that.
No.
They like to hear we're going to grow, we're going to lean into it, and we're going to push through, and we're going to like be on a frontier, and we're going to go further than we've ever gone.
Right.
People love that. So that's what this would frame it as. That's what this idea would frame Medicare for all as.
And the result is we get a way better healthcare system,
way better,
a way better economy, it sounds like, and a way better, like, just a way better experience for everyone going through the process.
Everything is better. And also, it really helps with AI. You know, people are worried about AI and they don't know what's going to happen. Is there going to be unemployment? Blah blah. One of the absolute most baseline things we could do to be like ready for AI is already have a public health system, like a public option, public government supported health insurance, universal supported health insurance. Because if you have that, if there is overnight, some catastrophic thing where overnight you have 20% unemployment, they all can still go to the doctor.
Right. You don't have
even if they're homeless and who knows what, they can go to the freaking doctor.
Right.
It's important.
You don't have a wave of people not being able to afford medication and life-saving
and
operations.
And that causes all kinds. Yeah, there's the comorbidities of that socially are horrible. Gosh. So and they're all losing their jobs. And guess what? Your job has your health insurance.
Yeah.
So this is like the AI people are all libertarians, which is unfortunate. I've connected with a lot of the AI people recently. Like the AI.
Wait, what?
Like people who are like worried about AI.
You're connecting with a lot of AI people?
Yeah, like people who are like worried about AI.
They're like, "Hi, Adam, can I help you? What is your problem today?"
Oh no,
and you're like
robots.
You're like, "I need to solve some of society's problems." They're like, "That sounds great.
I have a solution.
My understanding is you want to solve society's problems. Is that correct?" And you're like, "Yes."
That's pretty good.
These are the AI people that you're...
That's better than most AIs, actually. They don't usually ask clarifying questions and check in with you. They're usually just like, here's the solution, here's what I think is right, But yeah, but it's strange because all these AI people are all like libertarians. So they think like, oh my God, we need like charities or something. And I'm like, what? Like we need government programs. Like you're literally describing the onset of communism, like the principle that, Marx said. I mean, I don't necessarily love centrally planned communism, but this is what the AI people are telling us. They're telling us they're going to make computers that are so smart it can plan all of society. That's called communism. Like that's what Marx said. Marx said capital would get so efficient and so automatic that no one would have to work. And that would usher in communism. They're describing that, and yet none of them even know Marx enough to realize that what they're saying is just communism. Well, anyways, that's the solution for everybody. Kind of a boring politics.
No, I like this.
Good? Okay.
I'm always good when we get into medical.
Reframe.
Yeah, reframe.
Yeah.
We just talked about Lamborghinis in every driveway. That's absolutely exciting. Adam, what color is your Lamborghini going to be?
Lime green.
No.
Yeah, with lime green running lights underneath.
Lime green with lime green lights?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have a Lambo, get ridiculous,
you
right?
Gotta get ridiculous. Ludicrous, I think they say.
Ludicrous has a Lambo?
No, that's like a thing. Isn't it like Tesla has a ludicrous mode?
What?
Yeah, where you like...
You're the guy who tells me about Teslas. You told me that all the models
I don't like love
form
Teslas.
The word sexy, and I was like, that's gross.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Remember, Medicare for all. It's just the biggest corporate bailout ever, which I actually think is fine because it would be better for everyone. Everyone wins. The whole point is that this is not a fight.
Yes.
This is everyone winning.
This is not boring. This is cool. No. That's the whole point.
Everyone wins Medicare for all. There is no loser. Even big corporate America makes tons of... private health insurance loses. But they all can just go get jobs with their other corporate shills. There's the other corporate shills will all be hiring.
There will be a lot of...
Just go change jobs.
Yeah, do stuff.
Yeah. We could even do like a little transition. We could take some of that $800 billion and do a little transition for the...
And guess what?
The insurance
when
people.
they're looking for jobs, they're not going to be out of healthcare. They can.
That's right. They'll have healthcare.
It'll be
and they'll have skills. They'll
have
worked at major health, insurance corporations.
Perfect.
Technology skills, math skills, business skills. They'll be fine. Anyways, okay, we're done.
All right, Soli Moly,
Medicare
everybody.
for all, everybody.
See you later.
Soli Moly. Bye.